You've tuned in to Unpause Your Life with Dr. Callie Estes and Dr. Tara Lynn Sell. Your access to success strategies and more to help you move onward and upward with your life. Listen in each week as they interview others who have really taken their essence to the next level and truly unpaused their life. Now here are your hosts, Dr. Callie Estes and Dr. Tara Lynn Sell.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. This is Dr. Callie Estes, and I am founder of the Addictions Academy, the Addictions Coach, and Rehab Rescue. Welcome to Unpause Your Life. This is a great podcast where we showcase people who have done something extraordinary with their life. I welcome you, and I hope you enjoy all of our guests.
On my way, found a reason to wake up another day. But they needed to show.
You are listening to Unpause Your Life with Dr. Callie Estes and my sidekick.
I thought you said you're psychic.
Sidekick.
Dr. Tara Lynn Sell.
Do we have to start over already?
No. Would you like to start over?
No, I want to leave it in. It adds
All
character for people who listen to us and say, who's those crazy idiots with that podcast?
That's awesome. I like it so far.
Awesome.
Okay, good. Let's keep moving then.
Our guest today is Dr. Scott Sigman. He is the pioneering opioid sparing orthopedic surgeon, specializing in sports medicine, knees and shoulders. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Team physician, UMass Lowell, Dr. Sigman was one of the earliest advocates of opioid sparing surgery. Is it sparing or sparring?
Sparing.
Sparing surgery. That makes more sense. He's the leading educator in the field. He has authorized numerous publications and video techniques for surgeon education. He's also been an outspoken proponent on educating patients on the options of opioid sparing surgery. So explain to me what that is, because I just learned how to pronounce it. Dr. Sigman?
Okay, well, let me give you a little bio. I love to describe myself in a very short sort of statement to sort of get things kicked off. So my name is Dr. Scott Sigman. I am an opioid sparing, world-renowned rock star orthopedic surgeon, healer of knees and shoulders left and right, social media maven, hashtag follow the fro. So opioid sparing surgery. Yes, hashtag follow the fro.
We're going to have to put that in there.
I am nonstop with our messaging as much as we can. So, you know, the bottom line is that this opioid epidemic has really been horrible for the United States. It's a real problem only for our country. No other industrialized country in the world has the problem that we do. And unfortunately, elective surgery became an inadvertent gateway to this crisis. And, you know, I've been in practice for 20, 25 years at this point. And when I was told first out of school, you know, what we do hurts, right? I'm using drills and hammers and saws and stuff. And you're putting your patients in pain. You got to keep them out of pain. And so we're going to get you to use these opioids because they're really inexpensive and they're non-addictive. Right.
Yeah.
And that was the message that was loud and clear to us. And I don't know if you guys remember, you know, Purdue Pharma actually putting out TV commercials where they were saying this new long-acting medication for opioids was non-addictive. So, you know, unfortunately, we were misled. And so what's happened is that it's probably closer to 20% of patients that finish a 10-day course of opioids are already showing signs of addiction. So there's really no great way to predict who that patient's going to be. So my messaging loud and clear to anyone that will listen, doctors, patients, etc., is maintain yourself in an opioid naive way. Never take an opioid so you never have to find out if you're that patient that's going to be addictive.
Well, that's a good advice.
I love that. Period. That's it. That is so, you know, I first happened across one of your videos, came across my Facebook feed, and I think must have been a sports related knee injury from a teenager. And, that spoke to me. And ever since I've been following you, and it was literally just a couple weeks ago that you had a total knee replacement video. And my mom just had a total knee replacement, and I sent it right to her. I'm like, Mom, you got to look at this, what this guy is doing. It's phenomenal because I bang that drum every day here about opioids.
Yeah, it's that video with the kid has over 100,000 views. I mean, it's really remarkable how that resonated amongst the population because, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a doctor anymore, and it doesn't matter the color of your skin or how much money you have in the bank. If you're one of those 20% that's addicted, you're going to be affected by this, and there's zero way to predict it. So doing everything we can to educate our patients, to let them know. I literally was in Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, and then Dallas on Monday, educating doctors as well. And we really have perfected these techniques now where we can literally take patients through major orthopedic surgeries, minimizing the effects of pain so that the patients don't require opioids. And we're doing it every day. So it's really amazing the progress we've made.
Why isn't this mainstream yet?
Great question. We're doctors here. What is the last thing that doctors want to do? They want to change what they've been taught, right? They're usually very hesitant to make a move into new technology. There was some issue as far as the cost of this technique that we're using. What I use specifically is a medication that is called liposomal bupivacaine. Its brand name is Exparel by Pacira Pharmaceutical. I am a paid consultant for Pacira Pharmaceutical. And basically, this numbing medication lasts. It's an anesthetic, just like if you go to the dentist and you numb up your teeth. Well, we can numb up your knee or your shoulder or your hand or your elbow. And literally, it lasts for up to 3 days. And so patients don't have the pain associated, but it's a little bit more expensive. It's like $300 for this medication. And I'll keep talking, guys. So you got to interject. I mean, I got story after story after story. And so I'm in with Governor Baker. I'm on his commission for pain management here in Massachusetts, and we have this closed door meeting. And he looks over at me, and they all call me Siggy. He's like, Siggy, what are you doing up there in Lowell, man? You're doing some really good stuff. Tell us about that, that surgery you're doing without pain medicine. I said, all right, He's like, well, how much does that cost? I'm like, all in, it's probably $400. And he's like, well, how much does an ACL cost? And he's like, I said, it's probably about $13,000. He's like, well, that doesn't sound like a lot of money to me. Why isn't everybody doing this? I'm like, exactly. Exactly. And so we actually were able to convince the Medicaid population that went into an ACO model to be able to start having accountability for this. And you're seeing, if we're not willing to spend money on the front side of this epidemic, we can't afford the loss of life, the social cost to our families, and how about the economic burden to our entire society for the cost of this opioid crisis? I mean, it is so expensive to care for these patients. And don't get me wrong, I'm not about eliminating opioids for patients that have chronic pain. That is not my message at all. My message is minimize exposure to opioids in the first place to prevent the chance of having anybody else become addicted. So having said that, I mean, there was a great study that was done out of the Brigham and Women's Hospital that showed $90,000 for an ICU death associated with opioid substance use disorder. So I think there were something over 140 different hospitals over 4 years, crazy numbers. It totaled $2 billion worth of expenditure for these patients that didn't make it. So if you sit there and get up in front of me and say $300 is too much for your son or daughter or mother to undergo a knee replacement surgery so that she's not exposed to opioids, I say you've got your priorities messed up.
Definitely. And I think you made a good statement about Medicaid just a second ago, because I know there's tons of people lining up for Medicaid paid for Suboxone and methadone clinics.
Yes.
And you would think that they would want to be on the front end of this instead of on the back end of it, continuing the addiction process.
Can't agree with you more. We have to spend some money on the front side of this epidemic. I mean, I have some good news. CMS, which, as you know, is in charge of Medicare as well as Medicaid, as of January 1st, has reversed its course and stated it now at this point going forwards that opioid alternative medications, such as the one that I'm talking about, will be paid for independently outside of the surgical bundle, which means now if you are in a surgery center and if you use Exparel for $330 or whatever the cost is, you will be compensated by Medicare for the cost of that individual medication. It's no longer considered a part of the overall bundle of the surgery. That's profound, such a profound importance for our Medicare Medicaid population. But as you all know, the commercial payers typically will roll with that as well and make the appropriate changes. So I was involved in lobbying Congress as well as CMS, writing, multiple letters as well as other doctors from around the country. And we're really very pleased to say that we've seen that turnaround.
That's pretty awesome. And yeah, they do tend to lead the way And that's exactly what we need. And I think of things like prevention in the first place, because the thing that struck me with that video with that kid is, I have kids too, and sports injuries. And then I always talk about wisdom teeth. That is typically one of the earliest exposures, unless your child has had a surgery, to opioids. And my kid just had a wisdom tooth extraction last year. And my husband is in 26 years of alcohol recovery. So I try to be really cautious with anything that I do with my kids. And I looked at the nurse there and I said, okay, so you're going to prescribe, non-narcotic, non-addictive pain thing afterwards, right? And she looked at me like I had a third eyeball. And she goes, well, that's just what we do. And I said, well, that's not what you're going to do in this case. And so I think there's this resistance in the medical field, and also this parents, like, they don't want to see their kids in pain, so they're going to do whatever the doctors say to prevent the pain. So I have questions about, so you went through a surgery, didn't go through you. What else can someone do to prevent pain post-surgery outside of opioids?
Yeah, so you're exactly right. Wisdom teeth is one of the earliest exposures, and many of the oral surgeons were providing 40 and 60 pills. And as you know,
Yeah.
I mean, wisdom teeth hurt for 2 to 3 days. And, I always talk about it as a storm of pain, right? So any surgery that you have, it hurts like hell for 2 to 3 days. But at the end of 2 to 3 days, it doesn't hurt like it did as the first moment in which the surgery happened. So if you can provide a soft landing for patients during that 2 to 3 days, they won't require the narcotics at that window of time when it wears off. So actually, Exparel is indicated for the use of injection to a surgical site, skin and bone. So it's absolutely indicated for wisdom teeth extraction. The good news is that Aetna, if you have a sign in for a new insurance company, you may want to look into Aetna, because Aetna is the first commercial payer that will allow for the use of Exparel and pay for it in every single one of their members, period. So that was a profound announcement by Aetna about 2.5 months ago by the CEO and CMO. So I'm super proud as an Aetna provider to be able to, offer that to my patients. And, even now, even if you don't get the Exparel, I mean, it hurts. And you can take medications such as meloxicam, which is an anti-inflammatory, as well as gabapentin, which is, for the listeners that are out there, these are non-addictive methods of pain medication that help in different ways other than opioids. And so Tylenol, I give 1,000 milligrams of Tylenol every 8 hours. I actually write a prescription for my patients for Tylenol because it works. It's actually a great pain reliever. It's completely non-addictive. So, and then, there was a great study out of the Rothman Clinic where they looked at carpal tunnel syndrome. And basically what the doctor did was he sat down with the patients. Half of them, he had this very detailed description with them about why they shouldn't use the narcotics. And the other half, he didn't at all. There was a 30% reduction in the use of narcotics just by having the conversation, not changing anything else. So, I have a conversation with each and every one of my patients prior to surgery in the office when we sign them up, either the parents or the kids or whoever's having surgery. We then talk to them at the surgical site. All of my nurses have been re-educated. It's a very important term, re-educated on the process of pain management, because as we all know, pain became the vital sign, and then we had all these smiley faces and 1 out of 10s, and all of that at the end of the day was really a very poor way to be able to measure a subjective pain scale, and nurses were obligated to provide all this medication, even though the patients didn't necessarily need it. So we're re-educating the nurses, and we educate the patients, and I run around talking to the doctors. So all hands on deck to try and really change the culture and the paradigm of postoperative pain management.
Yeah. Well, after my mom's knee surgery that she just had, I had to redevelop the pain scale with her because 2.5 weeks post surgery, we would ask, what's your pain? And she'd say, hurts like hell. Like everything hurt like hell. And I said, well, you're moving around. You're not even using a cane. Does it really hurt like hell? And so I had to do a new pain scale for her because I think people in chronic pain, they lose sight of what pain is for them.
Sure.
Same thing happens with me in my practice with even mental health symptoms. People lose sight of how bad their symptoms really are because they're chronic. So I think re-identifying pain scales and things like that is really important. Otherwise it just hurts like hell all the time,
I think it's a great point. I spent six months of my life with Gabby Reese. I don't know if you guys know who Gabby Reese is, but she's the original Wonder Woman. She's absolutely volleyball player, model, so businesswoman extraordinaire, married to Laird Hamilton, who is the world's greatest surfer. They have two beautiful daughters, just an amazing woman. And so she underwent a knee replacement in Los Angeles, and she knew about all of the addictive medications associated with these surgeries. She had lost a number of friends who were professional athletes who had succumbed to opioid addiction. And so she didn't get a very good result. She basically wound up requesting no opioids, and she got a really stiff knee, and she eventually got better, and she's done great. But she then found out about this medication, Exparel, and she was approached, and she wanted to become a spokesperson. So sort of a natural fit for the two of us. So we went around and we did. So did you guys see me on the doctor show?
I did not.
Yeah, nobody ever says they did, so it's okay. The only person that says yes is my mother and my wife, and that's it. But
they're the most important people to see it. Anyway.
Right, exactly. So we did the doctor show, we did live TV, we did satellite media transmissions, we did all kinds of it. And the whole premise of this entire 6 months was the Choices Matter campaign, which was really to empower patients, to let them know they have a choice. There are options, there are doctors that are out there that will operate on you, minimizing your exposure to opioids so you never have to become a part of the epidemic. So there's a great website. That's www.planagainstpain.com. So if you're a patient, you're going in, your family members aren't doctors like us, and you're just curious as to what's available, you can go in, look at this website, describe what surgery you're going to have, and they'll help you print out some questions that you can bring to your doctor and say, hey, doc, can you walk me through how we're going to do this? I'm concerned about opioids. What are my options? So, again, we're looking in all aspects to try and really mitigate this epidemic if we can.
Right. Because so many people in my office, obviously, I deal a lot with addictions, and they're in early recovery, and all of a sudden now they have to go into surgery, and using an opioid is a large predictor of relapse, particularly with alcohol dependence. So providing some alternatives to that, I think is largely important. So
yeah, I've become sort of a maven to that population. I mean, I will literally, the substance use disorder world in our area is well aware of me and my practices. So they will seek me out, and we will operate on them and specifically take them through their surgical intervention without opioids. So really fantastic, ability. I mean, I got one story of a guy who dislocated his shoulder 20 times, and he couldn't work, lost his job, lost his girlfriend, the whole thing. Found me, we operated on him, we fixed his shoulder, and it's like country music played backwards. He's doing beautiful. He's got everything in his life back again, and we did it without opioids. And so, there are options available for people even in that surgical setting. And I can tell you, every day we're getting more and more converts. They tell me when I'm up on the podium, it's sort of evangelical. I get up there and do my thing. And usually 2 or 3 docs at the end of each one of these meetings comes down to me and says, I'm in. What do I got to do?
Right.
I see this because, really what I was doing for years was I was an orthopedic surgeon, left and right, knees and shoulders, but I was also a pain management specialist, right? I had to be. I was writing narcotics all the time, and 20% of the patients were already showing signs of addiction. So you'd have to write repeat injections, and then you'd have to wean people off the medication. And it was literally this constant flow of managing, narcotic prescriptions. We don't do that anymore at all. It's been the most liberating thing in clinical practice. We write a single prescription. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the turning point for you? When did you decide that you needed to do something different?
Yeah, so I'm in Lowell, based in Lowell, Massachusetts, and it's a couple stories, and we're very much affected by the epidemic. We're a blue-collar ethnic community here, and we're right sort of in that opioid belt, and we were seeing multiple issues on a regular basis. And then it was really fascinating. My wife is a florist, and she owns this very popular floral area here in the Boston area, and we were just seeing these terrible 16, 18, 20-year-old kids coming in dying of opioid overdose. And we're like, what's going on here, And then slowly but surely, some of the data started percolating a little bit. And one of my very close friends and partners, Dr. Dave Probilla, who is the smartest guy on the planet, he reads all the journals, so I don't have to, basically came up to me. He's like, Ziggy, I got this new thing. You want to try it with me? I'm like, yeah, I mean, what we're doing really isn't working. So what do you got? So we tried it. which is this medication. And our patients were up and walking on day one after a knee replacement. And the nurses were coming up and saying, oh yeah, there's a Sigman patient, there's a Probilla patient. And then it was like, the lights went on. And then from there, mostly what I do is outpatient surgery. And I was one of the first proponents of trying to use this medication in the outpatient world. And now we've got protocols for every major orthopedic surgery that's available. You can look it up online. You can go to exparel.com. You can go onto my website, Scotty Sigman MD. You can go on Instagram or LinkedIn and watch these videos and these techniques where we literally have cookie cutter techniques now for any surgeon. Tomorrow, if you want to be an opioid-free ACL surgeon, you can watch this video and you can start it tomorrow. So we've really tried to make it as easy as possible for doctors to make the transition.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And we always ask this one final question, and it's not necessarily related to your profession, even though it's pretty badass what you're doing. What is the most badass thing you've ever done in your life?
The most badass thing I ever did in my life.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Give me a moment here. You're throwing me
Right?
me for a loop here. What was the most badass thing I ever did in my life? Oh my God. You're killing me. Hold on. I usually have always got a line.
Made a hashtag called Follow the Fro.
Yeah, no, I won't even go there. I don't even got one for you. I'm empty. I'm sorry. I won't be invited back now. I apologize.
Well,
I'm going to keep it to myself.
I do think that what you're doing is very important, and it's very important pre, post, and for children and adults. And so I do really appreciate the mission that you're on with this. I think that's pretty badass.
Yeah, I really appreciate the time and the opportunity to be able to talk to this and speak to this. It really is my great passion. And really thank you for recognizing and inviting me. I really am greatly appreciative.
All right.
So you're listening to Unpause Your Life with Dr. Callie Estes and
Dr. Tara Linsell.
Hey everyone, thanks again for listening. I really hope you enjoyed the show today. Head on over to iTunes and Apple Podcasts and leave a comment or review of what you think. Or contact us at 1-800-706-0318. If you want to be on our show, feel free to email or call. And if you have a topic, feel free to email or call as well.
Thanks for listening to Unpause Your Life. For show notes and more, head on over to unpauseyourlife.com.
Big shout out to recoveryinnovators.com for help producing this show. Thank you guys.
I took a walk down the long road where they said that I shouldn't go. On my way found a reason to wake up another day. But they needed to show you all the things that you won't do. Find faith or religion, but nothing to show for it. No need to escape in love with my pain. I may be awake, but I'm alive, still alive, and I won't be bound by your mistake. No, I won't be your enemy, trapped at the gate. Bring me to life, put me to death. Just give me something that's just not so hard to believe. To believe. To believe. I took a walk down the dark road where they said that I shouldn't go. I knew the dangers of flying. Now I'm so far from solid ground. But they need